here. So my platform, The Bands and Brands, was birthed during the last recession, and my group kind of knows my story. But I really got into investing when my dad did not want me to watch Saved by the Bell. I had to watch Bloomberg. But I really got into investing during the last recession, like I talked about, because I had to learn about money when I didn't have any. And I, interestingly enough, drained my 401k. Did not do that. But I've been on the Public app for 2 years now? That's crazy. But I've seen it grow, but I really love what this program is about. And it's one of my niche points when it comes to my platform is about helping people learn and to earn as well as to grow their money. So I'm loving this program. And I'm loving what this event is about tonight. So.
Amazing. Well, we're so excited to have you both here. And again, if you have any questions as we go, drop them in the chat, raise your hand. But first, in public, elsewhere, like what are you hearing from your followers?
I think that became one of the biggest things that I talked about, especially during this pandemic, because we have this pandemic, you have worrying about what's going to happen. You have to wear masks. So it's about understanding what you're learning about investing, you're trying to survive, it's all these different things. And that's the kind of the thing that I want to weave into what I was creating content about was, yes, it's personal finance, but it's the personal part of it. And the personal part of it is one of the things that I wanted to bring into what I was talking about on Public, what I was talking about on my own platform is this, and then anchoring it back to my own journey, and as well as talking about when I was in the recession and giving my own story to it, is saying, hey, if you have messed up, it was one thing that I talked about when I drank my 401k, and someone came in the comments on Public and gave their own story about something that they did recently, or not so recent, and how they're utilizing Public to relaunch their portfolio. And then seeing that someone has done it before gave them a sense of, okay, this is okay. And to understand that, hey, they have a community of it, and that it's that the wellness portion of investing, personal finance, is very intricate, because a lot of people don't talk about that when it comes to investing, and it has to have a sound mind. And I always talk about the stamina, the mindset when it comes to investing, to be able to handle what goes on. And it's also on top of what's going on in this pandemic. So that's something that's been very big when it comes to my platform, but also what's going on in Public, because I want people to keep that in mind when it comes to investing, because you see red and you get shot, and you're also seeing the numbers that's going on with COVID. So it's kind of, you have these two things battling. So that's one thing that's the reason why I like to anchor the personal part of personal finance and investing when on my platform, and just when I create content.
I love that. And I think that's why you're so popular, is because it's like the relatability, because I think sometimes when you see some of the business news channel, it's like you can't relate to some of these people, and we're all going through it. And I think that's important. I'm curious, Dr. Shakira, even in the last couple of years, do you sense feelings about it changed? Have you kind of, with more perspective and context, has it changed the way you sort of feel in these times when things seem to be a little up and down?
It's grown. It's kind of like a muscle. I know some people are like, oh gosh, she's talking about working out. Listen, it's okay. But it's kind of like a muscle. Y'all know I like to joke. It's kind of like a muscle. And I always talk about the stamina when it comes to investing into, just growing your money and learning about money and growing your money. It's that how you start, when you start working on the treadmill and start building up stamina and all of that, it's not how you're going to be running at an incline. It's in my journey, from when I saw the company that I worked for one time, when their stock went down to $5, when I see a company like, I'm not going to say their name, that they've been in the news very recently because they crashed everybody this week due to their earnings, there went down. Those are two different Nadias. So that's the thing that I kind of correlated a lot, is that it's okay to not be okay when you see the red happen. It's okay to not be okay, but then it's okay to say, okay, how do I feel? Honor how you feel, and then figure out what's my next move, but not necessarily make any quick moves off of those feelings. but to take analyzation of where you are and how to move properly. So that's the thing that I've been correlating over a lot, especially within my group, or just period on public, or just overall, is don't just always buy the dip, but research and learn what you're doing and understand who you are in that moment, and to think back who you were when everything was green.
Yeah.
Nadia, you said something that...
Oh, go ahead. I was going to ask you about decision making, but I feel like you might be there.
Well, I was going to say, Nadia, like,
change.
It happens. I mean, especially if it's someone that you've been, or a company that you've been like loyal to like, I'm loyal to Beyonce, like loyal to that. But you have to, even when things are not going right with that company or right with that fund, it's like to continue to shift through what did I say in my group a lot? Focus on what was the focus that I don't think I don't know if I will remember. Focus on the focus during the fumes or the flames. So when if it's a flame, it's a fire, anything going on, I always had these cliches. It's a flame going on. What's my focus during this time? One company that I was so bullish on, meaning I'm focused, that's my position on it. They weren't doing so well. I stayed true to it. I did my research on it. I determined what my position was going to be on it on the long term. And then I shifted accordingly. I decided to stay with that. So it's about honoring, like I said previously, where I was as an investor. It happens to the best of them. You see how even Uncle Warren Buffett felt about Apple at the last minute. I mean, it happens to us all. But it's about shifting to your perspective to determine a paper or your finances or your portfolio. It's the portfolio you had when you started is not going to always be the one that you have whenever you determine that golden number, that golden figure, or what are holdings. Just like someone said it, they feel that what they're going to be doing is not going to be enough, and you worry about it. You have to continue to mold and shift as you go. The scale is in the start. And even when you're having all these things that's going on, it's about how do you shift and mold it throughout time and figure out what vehicles that you have or financial vehicles that you have. Yes, you have the amazing public, but within retirement, other inklings that you have it, and just keep figuring out, what did I learn from public that I could take to my retirement? What do I take from my retirement that I can take from public? And that's how I utilize my investment journey to even move on to crypto, which I see public has, and now into crowdfunding. So I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm curious too, Nadia, like how the role of like education and learning more, how does that impact like mindset for you? And I guess in the context of sometimes I really, in life and investing, you learn the most from your losses, and like that could be hard because you're like, oh, I didn't win, or I lost, or this wasn't a good pick. But do you have any tips for like embracing those moments as learning moments and using them into the future?
You leverage the L. We leverage the L, meaning you take a loss. You took a loss. Why did that company perform that way? Did it make any changes? How did it shift my whole portfolio? Did my risk tolerance change? So you just determine how is my holdings, and how am I as a whole as an investor, and how does it look to my actual financial objectives? So that was one of the things that I talked about in my group too. Is this like, how do you shift and mold within that? Is that even if your portfolio is down today, and that's one of the things that I like about public, is that it shows your realized and unrealized gains. And that's one post that I called out on public, is that don't just look that if everything is down, you look at those unrealized and realized gains to tell the whole story of your holdings.
Can you break that down real quick? What you mean by realized and unrealized? Like, because this comes up a lot because the numbers go down, right? And you're like, oh, I lost money. But can you talk about what it means to like lock in losses or gains and what happens there?
So that pretty much is like from the time that you purchase to what you're looking at that time. It's like what's realized, and unrealized is what you're not really realizing what's actually been gained. So say for instance that I'm going to use somebody that I know for a fact in another portfolio, I purchased Target eons ago. I purchased Target when it was $50 a share. Target is well over $200 a share. My unrealized gains will probably be like $100 or $50. So or 100. But what I love about Public is give you this percentage, but then it gives you an understanding of how much the growth that you've seen over time, not just that day.
Yeah.
So
and
that's
realized when you sell or
when you sell, the unrealized is when you kind of just hold on to it for a minute.
Yeah, I think that even takes getting used to, because you invest in something, you see it go up and you're like, woo. And then if you don't sell though, when it's up and it goes back down, the value of the shares go. And that's kind of part of the roller coaster too, because then you're like, tick, tick, tick. And you're like, do I sell? And am I too late? And
that was always the common question. Sorry, ladies. That was always a common question. When do I sell? But we always had the question. We always talked through it. And I said, well, what are you thinking? Why? Did you research this? How are you feeling?
Yeah.
And that is always the talk through before actually unloading it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Absolutely.
So we're going to move into some tips that we can all take, but if anyone has any questions, definitely drop them into the chat. And I look distracted. My battery's dying, but I have another computer, so I might be doing that. But I should be okay. I have 10%, but when it's at 10, then all of a sudden it's at 2. Apple.
Yeah.
The people who have been doing it a while are purposely speaking in a certain way to kind of keep people out. And like, how do you get over that intimidation so you can get to a place where you're kind of educated and confident and continuing to learn?
I think that's the reason why I started to really get into personal finances, because the finance bros, I love some of them, but some of them can, the jargon of it can just be like, really. But the confidence of it all is like, you're already in a time where you're overthinking it in a bit, and women are already better investors. Let me just go ahead and say that. Fidelity said it, not me. But I'm also saying it. But how to anchor it down is that you already are a good investor, period. You've already went through this program. No matter if you feel like you're, Warren Buffett, or you're just wondering what the heck you're doing, you're still confident enough to move forward. One of the questions that I've seen is actually 2 questions that actually are parallel to probably what I'm getting ready to say, is that a lot of people are always asking, how do I know what this means or what to research and what to find information from? And my theory is I look to certain places to find things. I already say to make my watch list in the app that I have, which Public has an amazing watch list for now and later. But the thing that I love that Public has started to do, though, is that they have information about those companies. So it makes it easier for you to research those companies there. But another trick that not too many people know, that I have 5,000, not 5,000, I'm just being extra, but I have Google alerts set for certain companies or certain industries that I know, that makes it kind of like a Reader's Digest that comes to my inbox at 1 a.m. when I need to be asleep, but I'm on TikTok. So it comes in my inbox, but I understand what's going on within this industry. But then I also pare down what are key industries and sectors that I need to be indulged in. And also, I listen to podcasts, I listen to audiobooks on YouTube, even if I have books on my Kindle over there. I find ways to I pair my research based upon my reach at that time. You can't have your hands in everything at that time, but you can you can retain within what you're doing. So while I know everyone says to research, but where do I look? outside of public, another place is the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ.com has everything from earnings to IPOs to earnings reports to all information pretty much right there. And of course, it's the NASDAQ. That website is pretty much a nucleus for stocks. And another thing, and I don't have to get ARK Invest, and I keep bringing this up, but one thing that I tweeted out today is that I listen to the ARK market update every month while I'm working, but they send out something. They send out the recording. So it's key funds. I hold some ARK Invest holdings, but I also listen to the insights because I utilize those insights to pair with my intuition, which is my wellness, to then figure out how to implement later on what companies or what things do I need to research or to look to. And I always look to, what's the name of the company? So, okay. I'll do that in a minute. I always try to be extra, but I do that because I'm more keen on the insights to figure out what sectors do I need to research more so than what companies. Because I'm gonna tell you why. Because while you're looking into sectors and industries, certain names are going to start coming up. And who is that? C?
Yeah.
It's about when it comes to cryptocurrency. A lot of people didn't know about that till their name stopped popping up when it came to sharing about it. So when you look to what's going on to that sector, I talked about market share, which is pretty much who's the industry leaders in that. So you pretty much can understand what that industry is doing and then pare down to saying what the sector is doing, and then all the thing will funnel out for you. So I get the 9 to 5 and part-time work. It's a lot. It can be a lot, but just try to retain what you can within the restricted time that you can. Google Finance is a good way to utilize as well as public. So NASDAQ, funds such as ARK Invest have white papers, webinars, Google Finance, YouTube, YouTube, Yahoo Finance those are my usual ones, and then Kiplinger are some of the platforms that I utilize. So figure out the market insights that you need to look into, the sectors, and then it will funnel itself out for ways to watch, for companies to watch for. So that's how I would figure out how to research, is to look at I love some of them, but some of them can, the jargon of it can just be like, really. But the confidence of it all is like, you're already in a time where you're overthinking it in a bit, and women are already better investors. Let me just go ahead and say that. Fidelity said it, not me. But I'm also saying it. But how to anchor it down is that you already are a good investor, period. You've already went through this program. No matter if you feel like you're, Warren Buffett, or you're just wondering what the heck you're doing, you're still confident enough to move forward. One of the questions that I've seen is actually two questions that actually are parallel to probably what I'm getting ready to say, is that a lot of people are always asking, how do I know what this means or what this means? Or another thing to add, look at your financial objectives, and then look at your portfolio objectives. When you understand your portfolio objectives and what kind of sectors you want in your portfolio, then you will understand how to then study or research and then break it out that way.
Yeah, I think one of the themes, Nadia, that I get from you all the time, but especially tonight, is just the curiosity. And I think it's a good point. Like, a lot of people in the poll said they're feeling somewhat better about, how they feel about investing, but they're eager to learn more. And that is such an important, just mindset for an investor. If you think about what makes a good investor, it's not knowing everything. It's about being curious. And I think everyone here has demonstrated that. And kind of what Nadia was saying is, sometimes you think, oh, I have to invest, I gotta read everything about this one stock. But what Nadia does and so many others is look at things you're interested in. look at trends in culture. Crocs everyone knows Crocs.
Mhm.
That was a stock a lot of people started being, what's going on there? And they're doing celebrity partnerships. They're things you can understand, and it's a good anchor. So I think that's a good takeaway of like, be like Nadia, be curious, consume the content that interests you, and you can kind of learn about your portfolio along the way. Okay, with that, are there any other questions that people have before we wrap things up? I think this was amazing.
There's a question though.
Yeah,
is it okay to have multiple portfolios and invest in different stocks? I kind of want to answer this question. My group should know this answer. Yes. Yes. I have a different portfolio for different financial objectives. My public portfolio is pretty much, it has what I'm a long-term holder, period. But going back to what your financial objectives are, your portfolio objectives can be for different things. I have, interestingly enough, I forgot, it's one person in the group, they invest actually with their sister. I invest with my sister. So it's like with that portfolio, me and my sister already know this is what we're going to do with this one. This is my sister doesn't have the same risk tolerance than I do. She's like, here, just buy it. But it's just that you have those goals and other things of that nature. Okay. But it's how you figure it out. So it goes on to your objectives and things of that nature. But yes, invest in different things and have different goals for it.
Yeah, we can keep chatting. Yeah.
Is it okay to have multiple portfolios and invest in different stocks? I kind of want to answer this question. My group should know this answer. Yes. Yes. I have a different portfolio for different financial objectives. My public portfolio is pretty much, it has what I'm a long-term holder, period. But going back to what your financial objectives are, your portfolio objectives can be for different things. I have, interestingly enough, I forgot, it's one person in the group, they invest actually with their sister. I invest with my sister. So it's like with that portfolio, me and my sister already know this is what we're going to do with this one. This is my sister doesn't have the same risk tolerance than I do. She's like, here, just buy it. But it's just that you have those goals and other things of that nature. Okay. But it's how you figure it out. So it goes on to your objectives and things of that nature. But yes, invest in different things and have different goals for it.
Yeah, we can keep chatting in the public app, and also maybe it'd be helpful. We're going to do a little summary email with a lot of the stuff I think people are asking about, some of the resources that were shared. We'll kind of collect a list and share that out. And I guess Nadia, Dr. Shakira, any parting words or insights for this amazing group of investors we have here?
Oh man. I feel like, I don't know if anyone watches Jesus in Mirror, but it's like, what does your, neon sign say? And I'm just like, decisions. But if there's any parting words, I would say, make a decision and make it work. So.
For me, everyone knows you can always DM me on public. I answer very quickly. It's okay to change your mind on different funds. It's okay to think things through, but don't think you're gonna have it all together overnight.